Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market. This is for the week of May 27th to June 2nd. Going to get started in a moment with the luxury market, then we'll move to the Manhattan market and the Brooklyn market. Then I'm going to wrap it up and give you the very best strategies for success. This will be especially helpful if you are an active buyer or seller, or perhaps you're someone who's thinking about buying or selling, or you are someone who currently owns property here in New York City and you want to know how this market is affecting your position. We're going to get started now with the luxury market. So there were 24 contracts signed last week in the luxury market. That is for properties that are priced at $4 million and above. That is 6 fewer than the previous week. That actually isn't bad considering it was a shorter week due to the Memorial Day weekend holiday. The number one contract was the 5th floor at 750 Madison Avenue. It was asking $25 million. It is a new condo in the Giorgio Armani residences. It has almost 4,900 square feet. It includes 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, plus a terrace and 2 balconies. The living room, dining room, eating kitchen, and 2 bedrooms overlook Madison Avenue. This is a 10-unit, 12-story condo building, and it was designed by Cook Fox. The amenities include doorman, fitness center, and residence lounge. There is retail space on the ground floor, and that will be occupied by who else? Armani, and the designer also plans to live in the building. This building began kind of quietly marketing last summer, and it has sold 70% of its units. The average asking price for this building so far has been a little over $5,000 a square foot. The number 2 contract was 17 DC at 50 West 66th Street, asking just under $25 million. This building is currently under construction. This 7,112 square foot condo is actually a combination of 2 units. It includes 6 bedrooms, 6.5 bathrooms, an office, and a TV playroom. It has Central Park views from the living room and eat-in kitchen. The amenities in the condo building, which has 122 units, include doorman, a fitness center, indoor lap pool, an outdoor saltwater pool, and jacuzzi, basketball, and pickleball courts, screening room, game room, bike room, and, wait for it, dog washing facility. My favorite. Really, what would we do without a dog washing facility in a building? I don't know. Actually, probably take your dog to a dog groomer like everybody else. But anyway, it's great, I guess, if you like to keep your dog in the building and when you want to get it cleaned. All right, that's it for the number 1 and number 2 contract. The total weekly asking price sales volume, $250,699,999. Average asking price, $10,445,833. Median asking price, $6,897,500. Average discount from original ask to last asking price, only 4%. This week. Average days on the market, 747. Okay, that is it for the luxury market for last week. Any questions about the luxury market, please post them below or reach out to me at Sotheby's. We're going to move on now. We're going to take a look at what happened last week in Manhattan. Then we're going to take a look at what happened in Brooklyn, and then I'm going to wrap it up and give you my recommendations for buyers and sellers in this kind of changing market. The supply in Manhattan for the week, 391. That is up almost 62%. Contract signed, 192, down almost 15%. Off-market rose 210. Properties came off the market, little over 52%. Supply for the month, 1,490. That is down almost 29%. Contract signed, 891 for the month, down almost 10%. Off-market, 596. That is up a little over 26%. If we take a look at the market pulse for Manhattan, we're kind of getting back into that more neutral ground. Again, this is really a reflection of the balance between the supply and demand. The liquidity pace, this 30-day moving window of contract activity at 891. This is down over 5% from last month, down almost 19% from last year. We maintain this, again, neutral liquidity, but this has been a very uneventful spring market in Manhattan. It is looking as though our best days of the spring market are behind us. We may have a little bit left in the spring market. I'll talk about that more in a moment. We definitely saw more activity in the very beginning of the spring market. And then we started to see, kind of a pullback as the mortgage interest rates didn't really change. If anything, they went up a little bit. They're kind of bouncing around. Buyers definitely retreated. So while we're seeing that things are getting done, this is turning out to be a kind of an uneventful spring market. Let's shift over now, and we're going to talk for a second about the Manhattan rental market, because that is definitely on fire. We are seeing prices that are hovering around record highs. This could be a summer where we see new records set in terms of rents. This may well have to do with what I was saying before about this not being the most exciting sales market this spring because of the mortgage interest rates, and people are preferring to kind of just stay put and rent. And that is putting a lot of demand on the available units, and the landlords seem to be taking full advantage of that. So if you are someone who is looking to rent, I would absolutely advise that you get right on it and expect that you will see competition. Okay, that is it for the Manhattan market. We're going to take a look now at what happened in Brooklyn last week. Then I'm going to wrap it up and give you the best strategies for success if you are an active buyer or seller in the New York City market, or you are just thinking about entering the New York City market as a buyer or a seller. We saw the supply rise a little over 65% for the week, 243 contracts signed, down a little over 16%, 119, and we saw the off-market properties rise, 96. That is up a little over 74%. Actually, it's almost 75%. The monthly supply, 894, down a little over 15%. Contracts signed, down 9%, 574. Off-market, 262. That is up almost 10%. And this market pulse is showing that while we're down a little over 2% from last year, we are actually up about just a little over 1% from last month. And we continue to kind of stay in this neutral place, if anything, just slightly favoring the sellers. And again, this is that balance between supply and demand. The 30-day moving window of liquidity, meaning contracts signed, 574, shows a bit of a pullback, down 4% from last month, down almost 17% from last year. So Brooklyn, just as with Manhattan, is not seeing the most frothy kind of spring market. However, we are seeing more signs of strength in Brooklyn than in Manhattan when it comes to absorption of inventory. So we still have a little bit of time left. We'll continue to keep an eye on both Manhattan and Brooklyn. There may be a little more to come in terms of the spring market for Brooklyn. The Brooklyn rental market, I'm going to share this chart with you as well for anybody looking to rent in Brooklyn, or if you're a landlord in Brooklyn. I mean, you can see the demand is absolutely outpacing supply. We may be looking at record rents again in Brooklyn. This is just going to be a tough market. If you are someone looking to rent this summer, expect you're going to have a lot of competition, not a lot of negotiability. This is going to be a tough time, whether you are in Brooklyn or in Manhattan. If you are looking to rent in either Brooklyn or Manhattan, be sure you have your ducks in a row, expect competition, and make sure that, you step right up when you see something that you like. Don't expect that you're going to get a lot of play or a lot of negotiability. Every situation is different, but just going to be a little bit tough this year for you. Okay, that is it for Brooklyn. Now we're going to wrap it up, give you my very best thoughts and recommendations so that you can be successful in this market. Okay, as I said, there were 24 contracts signed in the luxury market for properties priced at $4 million and above. That is down 6 from the previous week. However, it was a holiday week, so it was a short week. 8 of those properties were in the trophy category, meaning they were priced at $10 million and above. 17 were condos, 6 were co-ops, and 1 was a townhouse. 18 of those properties were uptown and 6 were downtown. Again, luxury market seems to be marching right along. No real signs of weakness there. We're going to continue to keep an eye on the luxury market and see if it continues to perform like this right on into the summer. With regard to the Manhattan and Brooklyn markets in general, we are seeing both of these markets essentially in a neutral place. I would call it, though, more of a stalled out place. Brooklyn being in a slightly stronger place than in Manhattan, but essentially, both have experienced and have been experiencing a kind of lackluster enthusiasm on the part of the buyers. We have not had a tremendous amount of inventory. Conditions have not been terrific. However, we have had some decent showings in terms of the data, and we are in a stable place, and we did have a nice recovery from last year. It's just, I think all would agree that we have not had the kind of robust spring market that we had hoped for. I think we can look to the mortgage interest rates to blame for some of that, but we are where we are. So let's talk a little more specifically about where we are. If we look at the supply in Manhattan, we are pushing about 7,500 now for our total inventory. That's about where we are going to stay until the fall. Brooklyn, we are somewhere around 3,400, 3,500 properties. Again, we won't expect to see a whole lot more new inventory in Brooklyn either until sometime in the fall. We may get a few more properties, sellers that need to sell, and they will come on the market when they come on the market. So contracts signed, both Manhattan and Brooklyn were down this week. Brooklyn's second week in a row. Could look at this as the holiday week influence. It's possible. The next week or two will tell. And as I said, the rental market in both Manhattan and Brooklyn is reflecting what we're seeing in the sales market, right? People aren't buying, they're renting. And we're seeing the rental prices pushing up, and we may be seeing record prices this summer as a result of that. So if you are a seller in Manhattan, these next couple of weeks, week, 2, could be your last wave of activity. So please make the most of it. If you are getting offers, work with those buyers and don't assume that we're going to have a whole lot more runway to this spring. Brooklyn, possibly you will have a little bit more. We just don't know with Brooklyn because it was better positioned over, let's say, the last month than Manhattan, but the last 2 weeks haven't been great. So for contract activities. So jury's out on that one. I would say if you are a seller in either Brooklyn or Manhattan, do not hesitate. You don't have a lot of runway left. We are already in June, and you just want to be sure that you're not lingering around too much longer. Try to get your deal done, make your adjustments as needed so that you're not hanging around, let's say, in July and August. Buyers, this could be it pretty much for the new inventory. We definitely see it slowing down for the season. That's normal. You probably won't have a whole lot of new choices until sometime in September. We are seeing a slowdown in contract activity in both Manhattan and Brooklyn. So, that could mean some opportunity for you. If you see something you like, you may have a little bit of leverage there, but have to test it out and see. Again, we aren't seeing a whole lot of this slowdown translating to a real impact on price action. As I have been talking about these last few weeks, months, we did have a nice recovery from the end of last year. We'll have to see where that goes, but I don't think we're really losing a lot of ground, at least based on the data. So if you do want to negotiate, just be mindful of the conditions surrounding the property that you are negotiating on. How long it's been on the market? Are there other offers on this property? Do you need to do work on this property because there are discounts available there? All these things have an impact on the price, and you should definitely be factoring those things in. All things being equal, though, we are not seeing huge, big declines overall in the market in terms of the price action. That is the point I am trying to make here. So we'll keep an eye on what happens as we go along and finish up this spring market. Then we're going to see what happens this summer, and then we'll see where we are in the fall. In the meantime, I will continue to bring you the very latest news on what is going on here, as I always do every week. My thanks to Urban Digs and to the Olshan Luxury Report. The work they do helps me to help you to make great decisions. I'll be back next week with the very latest news on what's happening in the New York City real estate market. In the meantime, take care.